Anyika Onuora had a great career as an athlete, winning medals for Great Britain at the Europeans, Worlds and ultimately the Rio Olympics. But for all of that, she was never exactly a household name. She even says herself in her memoir, My Hidden Race, that a week after a championship, she could be doing her shopping in Loughborough and be completely anonymous. But it was actually for this reason that I was attracted to read this book. Having read biographies by Greg Rutherford, Colin Jackson, Jessica Ennis Hill and others, I found they follow a familiar pattern. There's always the training with setbacks before the work finally pays off in the form of a gold medal, and then comes tickets to GQ Man of the Year and appearances alongside David Mitchell on panel shows. But this is not the most commonly trodden path for the life of a pro athlete. These are exceptions that suggest a formula that doesn't exist for 99% of people in track and field. As the sprinter says herself, for every Usain Bolt, there are thousands of Anyika Onuoras. I found this a more honest and sadly realistic account, and with that comes some real pain, grittiness and hardship that makes you wonder how much of athletes' lives we don't see. Anyika was born and raised in Liverpool, a city she clearly loves, and a city that has given her a mixed blessing in life. She grew up in a Nigerian household, and she explores her difficulty in balancing her roots alongside the world around her. She experiences racism from a young age and describes even being kept awake at night with the fear that her parents' house might be attacked. She was always the fastest child in Liverpool, but it never aspired to be a pro athlete until she was in her teens. She represented Britain as a senior for the first time at the 2006 European Championships. But unfortunately, her tough adolescence off the track did not make for an easy life when she became a full-time sprinter. In some sections of the book that make for some tough reading, she describes being sexually abused by a physio, and later on, an anonymous male athlete tried to rape her in a hotel room after a meeting. These were the parts of the autobiography that made headlines before the release of the book. But it uncovers a lot more than that, and a lot more of the reality of what it is really like to be a professional on the track and field circuit. It all happens as she is chewed up and spat out of the notoriously harsh lottery funding system. She battles injury and is given a hard time by the sometimes callous acts of coaches. There are as well some incidents that would have comic value were it not for the fact that they happened on some of the world's biggest stages. For example, moments before the 4x100 metre final at the Beijing Olympics, a relay teammate is in meltdown because she cannot find her spikes, only to realise that she's actually wearing them. The athlete is not named, although I do actually have a suspicion of who it might be. Transitioning to 400 metres from the shorter sprints was a breakthrough, and the book climaxes around the 2016 Olympics when Anyika is fully a 400 metre athlete. In 2015, she suffered malaria so badly that she actually almost died and was unable to run for a long time afterwards. After a heroic and courageous battle back, she's not quite ready at the British trials in 2016, and she faced the discretion of the famously vague and difficult selection body. And after everything, she managed to beat Christina Hurrigu in what was considered a runoff, and that was at the 2016 Europeans. So it all seemed like she'd got that third place on the team, only to be told that Christina Hurrigu's reputation had denied her the chance to run individually. So the bronze medal she did ultimately win in the relay was perhaps the hardest earned and most deserved I can think of. It may not be a book that would attract people to any glamour around athletics, but it's a powerful story and I think a necessary story that lifts the lid on just how tough the sport can be.